Hello there, my name is Miguel Yap. I hope you appreciate the crash course that I will be giving you about population ecology. Have you ever heard about the deforestation in the Amazon rainforest or the bleaching of the Great Barrier Reefs? Chances are you already know some of the work done by ecologists and conservation scientists around the world. Population ecology deals with similar issues but focuses on how such environmental changes affect certain populations. An example of this is the panda, our favorite bamboo eater. Conservation efforts on the population in China helped take the panda off the endangered list after 50 years. Now, saving the panda from extinction may provide future generations something cute to admire and obsess over. But I bet the question you're asking is, why do we put so much effort into making sure some species don't go extinct? Well, some species have characteristics that benefit us. One example is the horseshoe crab. Humans harvest the blood of hundreds of thousands of each year, because with their blood, we can synthesize a substance called limulus amoebocyte lysate that can help us detect bacteria and endotoxins on intravenous drugs and medical equipment. Another one would be bees. Bees! Those yellow, buzzing insects that might kill you if you're allergic to their venom. Bees pollinate a large number of plant species that we use for agriculture. They are basically a natural labor force. Recently, their population sizes started to go up again, and that's also a good sign that other species will benefit as well. Population growth is also one of the concerns of population ecologists. To better present the topic, here is a video from BBC News.
We live in a time of unprecedented population growth.
In 2015, the world has around 7.3 billion inhabitants. We have added 1 billion people since 2003 and 2 billion since 1990.
People born 60 years ago have seen the population of the world triple.
We happen to be alive at an incredible time in human history where the world's population is undergoing this massive transformation.
In the UK, in the past 100 years, the population has grown by over 20 million people.
It's about 65 million, and that's a problem because we're already one of the most densely populated countries in Europe.
This is a concern to many in our society.
My head worries about rapid demographic growth in certain parts of the world where, unless technology catches up and is invested in particular countries, we will see the potential for catastrophe.
But what does it actually mean? Depending on who you speak to, there are different fates awaiting us. To some, we'll soon drastically and dramatically run out of resources. To others though, this is all just an exaggeration, something we don't necessarily need to even worry about. But who's right? What are the consequences of our growing population, and is it necessarily a bad thing? Let's find out. A UN report released in July of this year predicts us reaching 9.7 billion people in 2050 and 11 billion by the end of the century.
More people in the world means more people here in the UK, and it's already happening. Figures released in June of 2015 put the population increase at nearly 500,000, bringing us close to 65 million.
So over the last decade, the UK population has been growing by around 0.7% per annum.
Our population is kind of similar to France's population, but of course France is twice as big.
We're almost growing as fast as the rest of Europe put together. It's that sort of difference.
So, why are we growing? One reason is birth rate. We have a reasonably high birth rate compared to other big European countries, about 12.8 per thousand people compared to France's 12.6 and Germany's 8.7. This is still nothing though compared to countries like Niger with 49.8 or Mali with 47.4. Some, like Simon Ross from Population Matters, believe we should be having smaller families.
We've got a high birth rate. If you don't have kids, that's fine, number one, let's all say that. And if you do want kids, just have one or two.
Another reason though is one you've probably heard about: immigration.
Over the last decade, around 50% of the growth of the population has been due to natural increase, and around 50% of the growth of the population has been due to net migration.
Migration is a political hotcake.
Talk today about control, taking back control of our borders.
Look, of course, I want to get net migration back to the tens of thousands, which it was in the 1990s. This is not some outlandish, unachievable pledge.
For years, the UK was a net exporter of people, meaning that for quite some time, more people were leaving this country than actually coming in. Over the last 20 years, though, that's changed. Of the nearly 500,000 increase in population last year, it's estimated 259,000 of that was due to net migration.
I don't think we should look at all migrants under the same lens. So those people in Calais are a different set of migrants to the migrants that have been coming into the UK over the last 100 years.
We have to say to ourselves, actually, why do we need to import all these workers to do our jobs? All these people that say, oh, the NHS depends on foreign workers. Oh, we need foreign workers because they've got the skills. Why haven't we got the skills in the UK?
One of the dangers of engaging in this debate is you can immediately be drawn down into a path of migrants are bad or population growth is bad. I mean, we are a migrant culture. So, and many people have made a very positive contribution to the economic and social fabric of the UK.
Tower Hamlets in London has long been associated with migration, being one of the most diverse areas in the country. As well as that, it's the fastest growing local authority in the United Kingdom.
In the next 24 years, it's expected to grow by 101,000 people, which is 50% more than what it is today. And this is a similar story across many areas of the United Kingdom. In fact, no country of the UK or region of England decreased in population in the last year.
But how does a rising population affect the people who live in areas like this?
When I came about 5 years ago, the rents were really cheap. Getting in the underground was much easier.
There are common issues associated with migration and population growth. A lack of space.
It is a lot more crowded than it ever was before.
A lack of housing.
You know, you've got to apply so many places until you get to get the house.
Very, very expensive for local people. Yeah, very, very expensive.
No jobs.
It's not very good nowadays.
And even communities disappearing.
People come and go. The community is no longer what it used to be.
But is this all really the fault of a growing population?
It's partly to do with the number of people who want to live in areas, which is driving up the property prices, but there's a whole set of other socioeconomic and political factors.
It's not the people, it's the way in which we deliver solutions to the numbers of people. So we can find engineering solutions to manage food, water, shelter, energy. We can do that, but there has to be suitable investment to achieve it.
It's worth noting that this is not a new discussion.
So what does a population ecologist actually do? They collect data that pertains to certain populations, find out how the population had changed over a given period of time, and find an explanation for the changes that occurred. Here is a scenario. Some birds migrate to countries with warmer climates during the winter. A scientist noticed that there were less variety of bird species migrating to his country from a decade ago. So he went and researched on the different bird species that migrate during the later months of the year. He finds out that the birds had started to migrate in the neighboring countries instead. He investigates the phenomena further. After some time, he found out that the airplanes that travel from his country to the neighboring countries have actually affected the migration paths of some of the bird population. He then contacts the authority on bird conservation so that they may further observe the effects on the bird populations. The things you will learn in population ecology would often follow this pattern: observing an abnormality, gathering more information, finding an explanation, and then making actionable conclusions. Once you finish this course, you will start to see how the lessons you will learn in population ecology will benefit you in other fields and careers. So if you're not taking it now, I suggest that you take the time to get it. If not, then hope that future videos will be uploaded going more in depth on the methods, tools, and resources used in population ecology. Thank you, and I hope you learned something.